Cheers, guys, and welcome to Uncle Scott's Pancast podcast. In the old Pancast today, we are going to talk about $20 burritos, perhaps the most controversial political topic of our day. We're also going to talk a little bit about 10-line copper. We're going to have a little update on the Le Creuset review, how that's going. We got cookware questions and answers and a whole lot more. Let's jump in and get started. If you're wondering what I'm sipping on today, this is a non-alcoholic. It is not any type of White Claw. So non-alcoholic Pellegrino Peach Chow. So fizzy water from Italy. And I'm pretty sure this is what the Roman Legion drank before heading into battle. Pretty tasty. Now, if you've been following along on the internet this week, and if you haven't, I salute you for doing something more productive with your time than arguing about $20 burritos. But there is a big argument going on. And in a nutshell, the subject is essentially affordability, but the specific topic is a younger person has said they can't afford $20 burritos when they go out for lunch with their coworkers. And it sets off an argument because older people, I'm one of them, will in turn say, well, you don't have to go out for lunch. You can make your own food, you can brown bag it and save some money if you can't afford a burrito. And then it starts a whole big argument going back and forth. And in reality, there's probably some truth on both sides of it. The people paying the $20 burritos, the younger generation, things are more expensive these days. That is just a truism. Inflation goes up over time. A meal out in a restaurant is much more expensive now than it used to be. On the other hand, the old guys, people like me, there were times in our lives too when we couldn't afford burritos and somehow everything worked out. And maybe we do have a little bit of good advice. If you can learn just a little bit of us without attacking us, maybe you can save a little bit of money and live a little bit better. So there are arguments on both sides. I'm going to throw out here the $20 burrito challenge. And if you want to participate here, there are no prizes. The only thing that you might get is a little recognition in a Pancast. But take 20 bucks and let me know what type meal you can fix. And to get it started here, over the past week, a couple of meals I made. Sunday dinner the other day, I made a big pan of pasta sauce, and we had spaghetti and 2 pounds of meat. So that's a pound of beef, a pound of Italian sausage, an onion, some garlic, a jar of pre-made tomato sauce I added to that, I will admit. So a little spaghetti Americano, but pack of spaghetti and some garlic bread, about 25 bucks all in. But I fed 7 people for lunch. 3 of us had leftover spaghetti for dinner, and even there was a little bit left over the next day. My son actually had spaghetti for breakfast. So pretty good stuff, but essentially 10 meals for 25 bucks. So $2.50 a meal, a lot less than $20 for one burrito. Likewise, a little chicken pie, a little American, middle American fare here. But a rotisserie chicken, a pound of carrots, pound and a half of potatoes, a pack of frozen peas, butter, flour, a pie shell, some stock, and made a delicious chicken pie for about 21 bucks. And 4 of us got 2 meals each out of that, and there was a little bit more left over. So again, less than 3 bucks for some wholesome food, a lot less than $20 for one burrito. And if you cook for yourself, you know who made the food. It's not a crackhead microwaving stuff from Cisco. It's, unless you are a crackhead fixing a snack for yourself at home. But you get more wholesome ingredients, you know what you're eating, and you save a little money too. And I'm just going to throw out the math on this. If you did save $100 a week on eating out and put that in an S&P 500 index fund in your 20s, if you live to be 70, that would probably make you a millionaire just on packing your own lunch, believe it or not. This is nothing new. When I had my corporate job 20-something years ago, this was always a topic of discussion because we had a Starbucks in the building, and my coworkers would come in and someone would have a big, $8, $10 fancy Starbucks drink, and we would discuss, well, what if you didn't buy the Starbucks? What if you made your own coffee? So this is nothing new. It's been around for a while, but it is the hysteria of the moment, the $20 burritos. And perhaps there is a middle ground as well. You don't want to always be the fuddy-duddy who doesn't go out for lunch with coworkers. Maybe you go out to eat once a week, maybe twice a week. Maybe you bring your lunch 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and you take that savings and invest that. And you will probably, there's no guarantee that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. You will probably be financially better off down the road. And you probably eat better too. But if you do want to participate in the $20 burrito challenge, post underneath the video what you can make with $20. If you want to send in a photo, do that over on the Twitter side at USK Uncle Scott. You can send me a photo with what you cook, and let's see what we come up with. Now let us begin with some poll results. Everyone remain calm. Have you heard about the big lettuce recall going on these days? There are rumors of Taylor Farms lettuce from Mexico possibly causing diarrhea at Taco Bell and other places. And the joke going around I saw on the internet is, how do you know the regular Taco Bell diarrhea from the diarrhea caused by the lettuce? And I got no good answer for that. But I put up a poll and asked you guys if you are still eating bagged lettuce, which is apparently causing all kinds of problems. Has the lettuce recall affected your eating? You guys say, yes, you're not eating lettuce until it's all over, 35%. No, you're still eating as much lettuce as normal, 50%. And I know some people there, as much lettuce as normal. Some people didn't eat lettuce anyway to begin with. And then 16% of you guys were not aware there was a lettuce recall. One other thing I thought was interesting with the lettuce recall is that it affected lots of different stores. And among those were some lettuce at, I believe, Walmart, others at Whole Foods, and other grocery stores. What became apparent is that some of the fancy, expensive lettuce, you might think you're getting a different product at a higher end store and paying more for it, may be coming from the exact same supplier and field and processing facility as the cheaper stuff at the discount stores. So once again, sometimes you think you're paying up for quality and you may just be paying up for different packaging, unfortunately. And that really bothers me because lots of times I do go for higher brand name goods, and I don't mind if it's really different, if it's the exact same thing as the lower price good, just in a different package. I feel a little bit ripped off. Let's do a quick update on the Le Creuset Alpine Outdoor Edition enameled cast iron Dutch oven. The next big feature is going to be the full review on this guy. I've still been doing some more testing. One of the tests, I put up a video of it, was about making some over-the-top chili. And I got a little feedback on that chili. First is I put beans in the chili. And I know that's always controversial, so I put up a poll about that and asked you guys, fans of beans in chili or not? And let's see, yes, 84% of you guys prefer beans in chili. No beans in chili, 16%. So I think most of us put beans in chili. I know down in Texas, that's sometimes verboten down there. But the Dutch oven performed well. I got a little feedback about that chili. I do want to note that I'll probably make that over the top chili again. I thought the recipe was pretty good. It was the first time I had made it. And for my meat, for the meat that kind of sits on the grill and the drippings and juices go down in the chili, I used a mixture of pork and beef. I think next time I'll go only with beef. I don't think the pork really added anything special to it. And I mentioned that the chili was very hot. One thing I found interesting was it was hot the day I ate it. somehow it mellowed overnight and it was actually significantly less hot the next day and significantly better. Visit Cart wrote in and mentioned it was spicy and said she assumed it would be spicy and asked if it burned the top of my mouth. It did not burn the top of my mouth. However, the top of my head was sweating profusely. And I actually kind of like that myself. The problem around here is that I've got family members who just lose their minds at any hint of spice. And I've had some of them sometimes say, "What did you put in this? What is going on? It's very spicy." And I have to just say, I just put in salt and pepper, just black pepper. Just normal seasoning. People go crazy about it. So I like a good hot chicken wing or a hot bowl of chili or a jalapeno popper. People I cook for, not so much. So the Le Creuset review is going very nicely so far. Done some outdoor cooking on it. Put up a couple of videos so far on some of the tests, but we went camping the other night, so I'll have some test results from cooking over an open campfire with this guy. I made that chicken pie I was talking about earlier in the burrito segment. Also in this guy indoors, and it's going pretty well so far. I put up a poll and asked you guys, have you ever used a Dutch oven outdoors or while camping? And yes, 46% of you guys have. 48% of you guys have not. And kind of the funny answer, the 6% of you guys say you just cook hot dogs on a stick. But if you've not used a Dutch oven outdoors or when you're doing some camping, I highly recommend it. And no matter what your wife says, sitting around a campfire, tending a Dutch oven while drinking beer and smoking cigars for 3 or 4 hours is in fact doing something. Let's talk a little bit about tin line copper. See Lily T5855 talking about the review I did for this guy. It is an $850 pan with lid. She says she loves the high-end cookware but doesn't think it's for her because for $850 there are a lot of limitations and a lot of things you can't do with tin line copper. Fair enough. Let's see, Kev Gatto also wrote in and says tin line copper for him would be an absolute no. He says stainless steel line copper is much better these days, and for a pan that costs this much money but can't withstand high heat, it's almost like an expensive car that can't go very fast. It also says that tin has to be replaced, retinning is expensive, and wonders why people pay up for tin line copper when it has so many disadvantages. Let's get into that just a little bit. The tin line copper, it's not for everyone and it's not for every purpose. So it's thick, it's heavy, it's expensive, there's more maintenance on it, you got to be very careful with it. However, for a task for which you can use this pan, I think this is probably about as good as you're going to find. It's absolutely fantastic in terms of cooking performance, as far as spreading heat evenly. Fantastic even cooking in the tin line copper. It's not for everybody, but I'm willing to throw out here an opinion or a guess that if you're watching this video and if you like Uncle Scott's Kitchen, you're probably into cookware and delicious food and fancy items for your high-end kitchen. And I bet most people in this audience would like to have at least a piece or two of tin line copper. I wouldn't get everything tin, definitely not there, but I think a piece or two is justified, especially for this audience. Now, of course, if you got induction, it doesn't work at all. So if you got induction, no tin line copper. My other copper though, my stainless steel line copper, it is also, it is almost to this level. And in some ways it's even better than the tin line because it's more versatile. You can get that stainless steel line copper a little bit hotter. You don't have to worry about the stainless steel melting. It's a little bit tougher in terms of utensils you can use on the that stainless line copper. And as crazy as it is to say, because my Falk and my Moviel and my Debouille, I've got stainless line copper pieces from each of those brands. They are absolutely fantastic top end. This is a baby step higher than those. Let's see, also bitching about expensive cookware, MT Dixon SR said there was a time when there was a real difference in expensive cookware versus the inexpensive. And he says, besides his camp cast iron Dutch oven, he got a Le Creuset Dutch oven for about $200. He's also bought several Amazon brands in the $30 to $40 range. He says the enamel life on his Le Creuset has not been any longer than the enamel life on his Amazon ones. Just his own experience. There is some truth to that. And I've got several Le Creusets. I've got a bunch of stoves. I've also got some Lodges and Tramontinas. And I've got a Tramontina enamel cast iron Dutch oven that is over 20 years old, and the enamel is still just fine. And I think I got that thing at Walmart back in the day, believe it or not. So definitely not fancy. So you can absolutely get some great cooking performance with lower priced enamel cast iron. However, I'm just going to throw out here, and this is just an opinion, when you get the stuff made in Asia, you're taking a little bit more of a leap of faith that everything is on the up and up with the enamel in terms of cracking, in terms of other things that might be in the enamel, whereas the French stuff, the French are very meticulous about cookware, food in general, but the cookware coming out of France, I just got a little bit more faith and trust in the enamel on those guys, but then again, you pay up for it. Let's talk about warping cookware. Let's see, JB_Kine wrote in. He's talking about Lodge cast iron in this comment. He says he's got Lodges, and if he overheats them, they warp and will never go back to the original shape. And he's done this with 3 Lodge cast irons. And I also want to bring in here a comment from Merrick the Wolf asking about a 15 3/4 inch carbon steel paella pan. Can that be used on a normal pro range? So let's talk about warping cookware here. I have never had a cast iron pan warp, especially Lodge, but no other brand either. So if you're cranking your heat up so high that you're warping cast iron first, pay attention, preheat those guys slowly, and don't do that. The main problems I have had with warping are sometimes with stainless steel, but mostly with carbon steel. If you get big, wide pans and put those on smaller burners, especially some of the thinner stuff, that can tend to warp pans. But I have never had that happen with a cast iron. And what I find interesting about pans warping is you can see it happen in real time. I had an induction burner that would warp carbon steels, and I would put the burner on one setting, everything would be fine. I would go up 1 notch of heat, the pans would warp and start spinning around. And if I went back down, they would go back flat. And I've had a big Lodge paella pan on this flat top stove. And preheating that pan, it will warp and the thing turns into a spinner. But after 3 or 4 minutes of cooking, I think the heat has time to equalize out and spread out, and that thing goes back to flat. But I have never warped a cast iron pan. What about you guys? I'm going to put that out as the next poll. Have you ever warped a piece of cast iron cookware? Make sure you vote in the poll. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time on Uncle Scott's Pancast podcast.